wholeheartedly agree with cutting family off if need be. You can scroll on my account and find tens of thousands of videos on here just on that. If you are toxic, I don't care who you are, you can go. I have cut off different family members. I speak to my immediate family right now, and that is it. I do not talk to any cousins. I do not talk to any aunts, uncles. None of it. Like I refuse to live this life and be miserable just talking to people just because they're my family. I don't care. Be a good person or get going. You know what I mean? And I will stress that to my kids. If they're uncomfortable around their family members, they do not have to speak to them. I don't care. Older generation's not gonna like that, and they're probably not gonna like this video, but it's my life, and I'm just saying, cut off family if they're toxic.
So at this point, I have a PhD in toxic friendships, and at this point, I need to write a book about this. Obviously, it's not for any reason in particular. I can just be a little bit gullible when it comes to people and their intentions. I actually think that people have really good intentions, and I'm always fighting for the fact that people are not trying to hurt you and they don't want the worst for you. But one thing that I've learned on this green earth, that is wrong. And people do want you to demise. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. It doesn't matter what y'all been through. It doesn't matter what you've done for them. It doesn't matter what you've told each other. People who don't like you or have an issue with you will never be able to resolve that issue, and it will manifest in the way that they act and treat you. So as somebody who has a lot of those experiences, I'm here to help you, girl. I will say now in my life, I do have some really great people in my life, but one thing I'm finally getting to the point of understanding is that everybody is temporary. Appreciate people while they're here, but don't force anything or don't hold on to them so tight or think life is going to be a certain way, we're going to get old together and all these things, because that is repellent energy and it changes the fabric of the relationship. It's never truly going to turn out that way until you just stumble upon that type of person. But don't put so much pressure on your friendships. Put pressure on yourself to hold yourself to high integrity and to be a good person. And those kind of people will gravitate towards you. But understand, everybody is temporary because life is temporary. And we are only here for a certain amount of time. Once you realize that, you start to realize, okay, the people that I have in my life are in my life for this moment, for this reason. And I appreciate them for however long they're going to be here. So with that being said, here's the first tip. If somebody blames you for the reason why you guys have issues, this person does not like you and you need to run. It's not always obvious. It's those moments where you hear them say something and you're like, no, they probably didn't mean it that way. I had somebody who I was friends with for multiple decades tell me that the reason why they treated me so terribly when they were mad at me is because I triggered them. I very well could have triggered them, but how you handle it is your choice. They would be so mean. To one point, I would not leave my room. I didn't leave my room for 24 hours one time, no food, no water. And I told them about that. I was like, listen, I was so afraid to interact with you that I didn't leave my room. Shortly after that, they let me know, honestly, the reason why I'm so mean to you is because of you. So that's the reason. And these kinds of people, when they don't associate the issues in the relationship or how they treat you as their choice and what they chose to do, it could put you in a very dangerous position. There were multiple moments when I could have been in danger, or actually was in danger, where this person did not act, where this person was not moved to help, nothing. Having toxic relationships and friendships in your life can quite literally be your life. If somebody blames how they treat you on you, it is your sign to walk away. Don't wait for another sign. It could be a bigger issue than you think. Walk away. You will find other friends. You will find other community. It is not the end of the world. You will make it out.
One of the hardest things to do is to cut off family members. Sometimes we have toxic family members that we have no other choice than to cut them off. And you see that happening a lot these days. And I want to say this from both sides of it. For the person that has to set a boundary with family members, that is an extremely hard thing to do, because you have to literally cut off a person that you love. The reason you cut them off is because they won't stop hurting you. They won't acknowledge hurting you. And they just keep doing it. And you are left with no choice but to cut them off. And that is a very, very difficult thing to do. But it's necessary. And props to the people that do it. At that point, you're choosing your own health over the quote unquote family. On the other side of that, the people that get cut off, I want to say to you that I know that's hard too. When your family cuts you off is very difficult. But just understand that those people have chosen to feel better than to be around whatever it is that you are doing or bringing. And a lot of times people in this circumstance refuse to acknowledge the fact that they've hurt people. And I want to remind you guys, if you got a pulse, you've hurt people. All right, you got a pulse, check your pulse. You have hurt someone. So people will always say, well, I've never hurt anybody, I've never did anything. Well, clearly that person has a different story and they're telling you that you are hurting them. One of the most disrespectful things you can do is ignore someone when they're telling you that you hurt them. That is extremely disrespectful. It's letting them know that you don't care. Further letting them know, oh, okay, I got to set a boundary with this person. I can't stay around this person. Whatever side of this coin you're on, all parties are being hurt. The person that set the boundaries, they're experiencing hurt. The person that gets the boundaries set against them are experiencing hurt. And it's a really, really sad circumstance. And the antidote to this circumstance is humility. It's apologizing. It's becoming aware of how you hurt people. And that doesn't mean the relationship is going to go back to normal, but those are steps that people have to take in order for it to get better. And hopefully y'all can get it together at some point in time. But if not, I wish peace and blessings on you all just as well.
Y'all want to know the types of people who you should avoid being friends with? Number one, your friend calls you to complain about their other friend to you all the time. Red flag. I understand friends, we could be annoying. Sometimes you have to vent, get stuff off your chest. But when you're consistently talking smack to me about somebody who you claim is your good friend, that's kind of weird. How I know you not talking crazy about me behind my back too? Y'all ever have a friend who talks consistently about themselves all the time and never asks you how you're doing or any aspect of your life? That's another red flag. Because how you gonna sit around here and just motor mouth away, talk about yourself, and then not ask me anything about how my life is going? Like, do you not care about me? But then you have the people who don't tell you anything about their lives, but are quick to get information about you and what you got going on. Don't get me wrong, like, I think it's okay to have, your privacy. I respect that. But when we're updating each other's on our lives and you just ask me all these questions, and then when I ask you something in return, it's just, one word answers, that's weird. Because why are you fiending? Why are you want to collect all this information, but you don't want to share anything back? Like, that's just kind of weird to me. I don't like the vibes with that one. You got the friend who just complains 24/7. Don't get me wrong, life is annoying, but when you call my phone strictly to just complain and complain and complain and complain, like, that's all you got going on is to just complain, I don't want to hear it. Like, you just motor mouthing away, and I just don't want to hear this no more. I got my own personal problems. I don't need to hear about yours consistently. Granted, I will be a good friend, I will listen, but when it's not reciprocated, you just trauma dumping on me, I'm good off it.
I learned about the consequences of keeping the wrong people around simply because I sympathize with their life and situations that seem to follow them. I felt it was okay to give them grace, and despite the things I noticed or the errors that were never corrected, it wasn't until I noticed their unwillingness to undo patterns or lack self-accountability that I began to focus on an exit plan that didn't warrant an argument or a malicious separation. As much as I wanted the best for them, I understood it wasn't really the best for me to hang around with people whose environments have a greater impact than their willingness to self-correct and want better. And sometimes the ease of no communication through text messages and fluid phone calls made the process more easier because it integrated and understood we don't talk no more. But there were times explanations were warranted because they truly didn't seem to understand the demise of the connection. And sometimes communication falls on deaf ears and silent treatments, name calling, and immature stances. I learned about the consequences of keeping the wrong people around simply because I was honestly too afraid to let go, too ready to be accepting, and too uncomfortable with starting a war. But sometimes in order to learn, you'll have to face the reality of the expiration. Sometimes what's not for you requires a commitment to walk away. Other times you'll just have to learn harshly why it is just what it is.
If you're feeling guilty about cutting people off, here are just a few reasons why you shouldn't. They wouldn't feel bad. They don't feel bad. And you actually feel better because now you can breathe. Have you ever been around someone and you just slowly but surely become short of breath and you don't have asthma? And if you do have asthma, you notice how those heart palpitations that you typically only have after interactions with them have slowly but surely subsided over time? Yeah, that's a sign that being around them was causing you anxiety, which makes it hard to think clearly, focus, and regulate your emotions. Cutting them off was also a good decision because now you have time to focus in on you and what makes you happy without having to worry about someone else that's not or no longer adding value or positivity or prosperity into your life. Cutting them off also gives you time to understand why you feel guilty about cutting them off and reach the reality that you should not feel guilty about cutting them off. Because the reality is sometimes it's just necessary. Sometimes people need to go their separate ways to find their own way. And also a lot of times it's for the best because this is an opportunity for a new, fresh start focused on you. It's an opportunity to declutter and free your mind. It's an opportunity to make peace with yourself in the past. It's literally an opportunity to do things that pour and feed into your soul, that support your heart. And it also helps you reassess what you want from your life. What do you need from you? What do you desire from you? And if you are completely fulfilled with you, now you get to focus on who you truly want around you. Cutting ties is so hard. It's not easy. And for a lot of us, it's very emotionally taxing. But again, life is about perspective. And this is an opportunity for something new. This is an opportunity for you. Love yourself, Boogie. It might be hard, but it's not completely impossible. It's absolutely worth it. And I mean, why not? Because what else are we really doing right now? Exactly. Okay, bye.
So if a friend, someone you know, someone you're close with, starts exhibiting jealous, competitive, envious behavior, run. So I have dealt with this for most of my life, encountering these type of people, and it is one of the most exhausting, devastating things to deal with. And, I will say there are a lot of people who will say like, oh, she was jealous of me, or like hater, they're being a hater, or they think they have so many haters and everyone's jealous. And, they do this to boost their own ego. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you literally just feel something is off. You might not even like fully be able to put words to it, so you might ignore it, but just in your body, you feel something's not right when you're with this person. Because I'm telling you, 99% of the time, your intuition was always right. So a good way to test this is, if you're in person with someone, say something really positive that happens, or just like really go off about how amazing your day was, or something crazy that happens, and watch their reaction. So someone who is deep in the stages of, competitiveness or envy, it's going to be written all over their face. So I personally noticed this when I bought my house. I had invited a ton of people over, just all separately, different times to see it. I was so excited. It's a big deal. I'm in my 20s, so it's a huge accomplishment, and it wasn't like a small house either. And the difference between the people I felt supported me and those that were low-key, mad, jealous, was so obvious. So the people that I, felt were supportive and that I knew were happy for me were so excited. Like we were talking like decorating, like, oh my gosh, how are you going to decorate this? Or like I was telling them my vision for different rooms, and they were like, giving feedback, like really loving it, excited, happy for me. The people that I felt were kind of sus were either A, very quiet. So, one person I had showed them around, and it was like almost like every room they got quieter and quieter, just like, okay, nice. And I'm like, it occurred to me, I'm like, at that point, it's taking more energy for you to be quiet because you're clearly experiencing something emotionally, like it's written all over your face. It's taking more energy for you to silence yourself than it is to just say whatever it is you want to say. Another person was literally like talking over me the whole time and like flipping everything and making it about themselves. Like, oh, well, at my job, like this just happened and I just did this. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but it seems like I didn't say this, but I'm thinking like every time like I'm trying to give you the tour, like, you want to see it, you're flipping it about something that happens to you, making it about you. And I'm like, this is like one time I feel like should maybe be a little bit of my moment. And, those types of experiences, they just put a damper on your accomplishments. And, for a while around certain people, I would just not say like, things I was proud of or that I had accomplished because I didn't want it to come off as bragging, which is so dumb because if you think about it, like what are friends for? You should be able to share what you are doing happily and feel like you're going to be supported and others are going to be happy for you. Never has someone said something positive that happened to them and I took it as like an attack on myself, or I went into like defensive mode, or I started talking about, well, I have blah blah blah. Like that's a sign they don't want the best for you. But I do want to say, we are all human. It's normal to experience a little bit of envy when, you see someone doing something you want or an experience that you want to have. That's normal. So don't let a temporary blip, really get in the way of that, but really go by how you feel around this person. Do I feel like I can authentically be myself, that they're going to be supportive? Do I feel like they're talking about me instead behind my back, or like they're trying to take my moment or downplay my achievements? Because those are things you just shouldn't tolerate. That is not fair, and you don't want to be around people like that.
Why you must disconnect from your toxic family. Satan's going to use your undelivered family members to try to condemn and shame you, blame you, reject you, curse you, and keep you from obeying Jesus and your calling in your life. Matthew 10:34-39 says, "Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth." And this is Jesus speaking. "I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it." So Satan wants all of us to feel like we must allow a toxic mother or father or family member or a friend to stay in contact with us so that they can hurt us over and over again and keep us from obeying the Lord. Stop it. You cannot make an idol of anyone. Pull away from them. Block them if you have to. You can never heal from their hurtful words and actions if you let them continue to hurt you. Move away from them like Abraham did from his family. And then he was greatly blessed. Think about Joseph. He got away from his jealous brothers, and then he was blessed. It can be a lonely life, but we cannot allow toxic family to hold us back from serving the Lord, or we'll miss our blessings. Mark 10:28-31 says, "Then Peter began to say to Jesus, 'See, we have left all and followed you.' So Jesus answered and said, 'Assuredly, I say to you, there is no one who has left their house, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my sake and the gospel's, who shall not receive 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands, with persecutions, and in the age to come eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and the last first.'" So I have a book called Freedom from Soul Wounds and Demons, helping people around the world to get healed from their wounds, to forgive from their hearts, repent for their pride, repent for their sin, get delivered from demonic spirits, and then be blessed. The book Freedom from Soul Wounds and Demons is available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and Audible. You can also request a personal session of healing and deliverance with me. I do about 10 or 12 a week with people around the world. You can request that on our website, restored2tofreedom.com, and click on Contact Me and submit the form. Or you can call 317-459-7091. Thanks.